Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. So my latest documentary on this channel, and it comes from Netflix, it's called Operation Varsity Blues, the college admissions scandal. And this is directed by Chris Smith, who happened to direct one of the Fire Festival documentaries. I haven't seen the other one, and that's my apologies for that. He also helped produce the Tiger King TV series that also I haven't seen. And this tells the story of William Rick Singer, who was caught several years ago using a side door to help rich parents' kids get into elite universities by basically saying, hey look, these are college athletes, even though they have no intention of playing an actual sport, and if you donate generously, I'll help get them in. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a documentary called Framing John DeLorean, which was a documentary slash reenactment in which Alec Baldwin was playing John DeLorean, and we also got, the actual footage of John DeLorean. Here, Matthew Modine looks eerily similar to Rick Singer, and basically we get a whole bunch of talking heads, and it's always interesting to hear FBI agents talk about this particular type of case. So one person says, hey look, there's something more compelling than white-collar criminals being openly candid about their crimes. Now, when we come to learn in most of these type of cases, it's the head honchos that usually go away, or if it happens to involve mobsters in a way, it's usually the smaller guy flipped on a medium-sized guy and hope you get the larger guy. Here in this documentary, we come to realize, oh yeah, it's Rick Singer who flips on everyone else. We come to learn a lot. We come to learn something about Rick Singer here that I've never even heard of, is that he was briefly married, had a kid, that we learned that this one girl that dated him, that she was, had a paper out. He happened to be that kid who sold beer to older kids, but used the profits to buy beer for younger kids. He happened to be that kid who just bounced around college. He became a high school basketball coach, couldn't really make that work, and then obviously he began to focus on, the college admission type of thing. What we come to learn in this documentary, particularly starting really in the 80s when US News and whatever other magazine would do this, is by saying, here are the best colleges in America. And we see, obviously, in the beginning of the film, these kids waiting patiently on their, cameras to see if they got into colleges of their choice. But basically, the whole thing we come to realize with elite universities is that, yes, they may be elite, but they're more discerning every conceivable year that it goes on. Obviously, there is indeed the front door, in which you get in on merit, or you get in the back door, which you probably pay a handsome fee to possibly pay for a library or whatnot, and you can get your kid in that way. Of course, at least one person says here, yeah, I paid $1 million and my kid didn't get in. And here's the thing we all come to realize as of late. We want the prestige of knowing that we went to like these elite universities. No one really has the intention of studying anymore. Just want to handsomely gloat on, oh yes, my kid is in Stanford, my kid is at Yale, my kid is at Harvard. There are obviously other colleges out there for people who don't get into the college of their choice. Now, obviously, Jared Kushner, his father paid a couple $1 million. He got in, but of course, Jared Kushner was a mediocre student, and obviously, look where he's ended up now. We don't hear the transcripts of, say, Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman. Of course, when the scandal broke and we heard that, Lori Loughlin's daughters, Olivia Jade, was caught up in the scandal, we all thought, oh, Aunt Becky, how could you do this to us? Well, let me confess, I always thought Full House sucked. Like, yes, Olivia Jade seemed like a stuck-up girl. That's really all I can say. Clearly, yes, influencing has brought her a whole lot of money and fame. I guess one girl went to school with Olivia Jade, I think in high school, and clearly this girl was not, remotely interested in studying. We see footage of her going to high school and was like, I really would want to drop out of high school. Does this girl really look like she could do crew at all to you? Of course, we do get into Mark Riddle, the SAT portion of this sort of scam here. And this goes to a larger point of how the fact is, yes, let's face it, we've become a test-driven society that has basically, there's no more fun and games in life. And of course, let's face it, the SAT business has gotten huge in the last so many years, partially because, let's face it, we expect more from our students because, let's face it, we suck at teaching education, and partially because teachers' unions are so out of control. And as I said, these parents were like, yeah, okay, I don't mind doing what you're doing for this, but of course, SAT stuff, that quite frankly is a whole different scenario. At least one parent did voice concern because she had 2 daughters. One daughter was rather studious, didn't have the qualifications to meet extra time. The other girl, quite frankly, was one of those girls that, quite frankly, hey, look, she'll get on her looks in life, and that's basically much it. We obviously do meet some individuals that got trapped up in this sort of scheme, one of whom has to be John Vandenberg, who happens to be the sailing coach at USC. Now, basically, the USC operation was basically, he got this hooks in the USC Associate Athletic Director early on, and she sort of was like, here are the people that are walk-ons, and it could easily smooth over stuff with the admissions board of USC, and obviously how at least one point Olivia Jade's, guidance counselor almost brought down the whole thing. But of course, alas, her parents made a stink at the guy, and he sort of backed off. I gave the money to the athletic director here. And one of the things we just sort of come to learn about college sports in general is that unless you're basketball, football, and maybe to a lesser extent soccer, hey look, crew, rowing, sailing, is not as sexy a sport as, say, the other ones. And again, who goes to Harvard and Yale to play football or soccer? You're out there really humping your butt to get financing, funding, otherwise you're out on your rear doing it all on your own at the goodwill of the athletic department. Vandenberg, at least at one point, met the athletic director, who, and granted, this goes to a point of how basically sailing is not a respected sport, basically didn't congratulate the guy on his win, and just sort of sat and looked at the television screens for that whole meeting. Now, obviously, of course, what sort of brought down this scheme as well, like most white-collar people, is that one of whom got caught up in a pump and dump scheme and said, hey, look, I want to trade in my time for someone else's, and basically was the Yale soccer coach, and the Yale soccer coach was like, okay, I know someone here, and I don't want to go to prison, and so here's this guy. Rick Singer was just sort of happy to oblige, because clearly he had the gift of gab on one end. He was clearly able to have the gift of gab on the other side. Clearly, William Rick Singer is basically a cipher. Who is William Rick Singer? I don't think anyone truly can figure out him. What I'm going to say about Operation Varsity Blues, the college admissions schedule, I'm not basically not going to give this a leave work early, because I was actually quite fascinated by what I saw. So folks, Operation Varsity Blues, have you seen this? What did you think? Please put everything in the comment box here below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe. Richard Still from Knowledge. I'm at Michael Richard Rich Juice 2 on Twitter. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray.